welcome back to Let's Make Lemonade. If you are new here, my name is Selena and I have been dealing with infertility for, let's just say, a decade now. My husband and I are in the middle of IVF and we have done the egg retrieval part. We have done a frozen embryo transfer. It did not go very well. It was unsuccessful. And now we are approaching our second frozen embryo transfer. So if you'd like to join us on this journey, don't forget to subscribe and push the push notifications just so that you can see when we upload a new video. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a test called the ReceptivaDX test. And the previous video that I just did was on the ERA biopsy, and it made me realize that I hadn't done a video on the ReceptivaDX test, and I have done this. It's been months. It's been a long time now, because I believe, I did it after my egg retrieval in January. So I want to talk to you about what that is. It is a newer test, newer technology, and it's called ReceptivaDX. You can find more information at receptivadx.com. And this is a test that checks for endometriosis. Along with this video, I want to encourage you to always be your own advocate. A little bit about my story is I've had unexplained infertility. I have seen multiple doctors and I have always gotten the same story. Well, I'm just not sure. Everything looks textbook on you. Your body responds the way it's supposed to. You ovulate and your cycles are normal and blase, and I have never really been given an answer. So for me, going into IVF, I knew, hey, I wanted to do a little bit of digging, There's a reason why we haven't been able to be successful in getting pregnant, so I want to know why. I have wanted to check to see if I have endometriosis. I've always had extremely painful periods, and I know that's only one of several symptoms of having endometriosis, but endometriosis can be undetected. There are a lot of women who have stage 3, maybe sometimes even stage 4 endometriosis, and they don't even know it. They don't even feel anything. So you can't always go by that. When we finally decided which doctor we were gonna do our IVF with, I told him, hey, these are my thoughts. This is my thinking. I am worried that I have endometriosis and I want to get a laparoscopy done. Well, I have tried to get a laparoscopy done with my OBGYN. She didn't want to do it. She was like, well, it's just not enough information. You feel like you have it. Well, I would just put you on birth control pills. And I just didn't get that, and so that's just the way they do things. And then when I asked my doctor about it, I could just tell there was a little bit of hesitancy. Like, they don't want to just do a surgery on you just because you, the patient, wants that. They need more in order to justify it. So I said, hey, I really want to get this done. I want to make sure that we are crossing our T's and dotting our I's, and we are going to look for everything that could possibly get in the way of an embryo becoming a success in our transfer. And so he said,
well, there is a newer technology. It's called ReceptivaDX, and we don't necessarily have to do an invasive surgery, but we can go in and do a biopsy, and then this biopsy is sent to their lab, and in a matter of, the website says 3 to 4 days, and I would say give it at least 7 days, but you get the results very quickly.
And so I was like, all right, I talked to my husband Mondo and we're like, yes, let's do this. And we just wanted to make sure we did everything that we could in our power. ReceptivaDX is for women who have unexplained infertility, women who have had unsuccessful IVF cycles or transfers, those who have dealt with recurrent pregnancy loss, and also for those who can't afford IVF. And this could be, this is a test that could possibly help get you pregnant if this is an issue, to try to pinpoint what's going on. This test detects BCL6 is what it's called, and that indicates inflammation, usually associated with endometriosis, limiting the ability for an embryo to implant. The website, if you look on there, it says 75% of women who do this test will come out positive. Instead of paying for a very expensive procedure, you can get this test done at a lower cost, and I'll talk about what that is in just a minute. And so you can rule out endometriosis. And if you think that you could possibly be experiencing endometritis, I believe is how you say it, then there's also, you can pay a little bit of an extra fee to check if you have that as well. If you get this done, the treatments that you can get to follow this procedure is to be put on hormone therapy. And that could look like Lupron, it can look like Orlissa, which is a newer drug that just came out, but it also helps to suppress endometriosis. So there are options, and it just depends on what your doctor decides with you, what the protocol will be after. My story, I didn't have endometriosis, which I was pretty certain that I was going to have it. However, it was so worth it, and that's why I say, hey, be your own advocate, because even though endometriosis wasn't found, they still, in their lab and in the process that they do, found that I had polyps. And no ultrasound machine ever saw that. I have done the test where, the dye is poured into the uterus. I have done the test when they do the saline. I have done those 3 times, and no one has ever said,
you have polyps.
And so, no test and no procedure is perfect. And I think it is worth taking an extra step. If you think this could be an issue, like me, I've never been pregnant. And so for me, I felt it was so worth it to go to do a little bit more digging to figure out if we could find the answers as to why. What does this look like? Well, throughout a natural cycle, this biopsy would be done after 6, 7 to 10 days after your LH surge. So you go in, and it's very, very comparable to the procedure. It's pretty much the same thing than what I did for the ERA biopsy that I did a video on. And if you want to look at the details, you can check that out there. But basically, you can find it at an OBGYN office, you can find it at a fertility doctor. And so if you go to ReceptivaDX.com, you can actually find a list of providers who will do this in their office if you ask your doctor and your doctor says they don't do it. So I'm not gonna lie to you, it doesn't feel good, right? It's a biopsy. They go in, they cut a little bit of your lining off, but the feeling doesn't last forever. They go in and they do it. You just take ibuprofen. You're not under anesthesia or anything like that, because it's a very, very quick procedure. But it can be so worth it just to know the information. The cost is $690. If you also want to pay an extra $125, you can, to find out if you have endometritis as well. If you think that this could possibly be something that you have, or if you just want to rule it out, I totally encourage you to do that. Because for us, it was so worth it. So afterwards, we went ahead and got a hysteroscopy done, which the procedure is they go in and they basically go in and scrape off and get rid of get rid of all of the polyps. He said I had small polyps on both sides. I also had what's called a polypectomy and then a DNC and something else, but all of that, is under the umbrella of a hysteroscopy. And that procedure was not fun. I did a video on that actually. I talked a little bit about that there. So you can go to that video to refer to that day and what that looked like if you're gonna do a hysteroscopy. But yeah, I just wanted to shed some light and bring some awareness to this new test. Just like with the ERA biopsy, you have some old school doctors who don't really respect it, or just they don't offer it for their reasons. But as a patient, you have the right to know. And if you feel like this could be something that you're dealing with, go check it out. I don't see how it could be a bad thing, even if that just means you rule out endometriosis. There was a doctor before I decided to see the one that I'm with now, who by the way is old school. When I told him I think that I had endometriosis and that I want to check and see if I did, he said, there's not enough studies that show that endometriosis can get in the way of implantation. Are you kidding me? There are a lot of studies that show that it can limit the implantation process. Does it still happen? Of course it still happens, but for somebody who's been dealing with infertility, hello, you want to rule that out. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I hope this video helped answer any questions about the ReceptivaDX or brought awareness to something that you could possibly do to help you out. That's it for now. Feel free to subscribe to our channel to just walk with us on this journey. If you have done the ReceptivaDX, let me know in the comments. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, see you then.